everybody is trying to call themselves entrepreneur. What the difference between an entrepreneur, a self-employed, a businessman? What makes the difference between us? Who is an entrepreneur?
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, you're someone who has to be creative. Entrepreneurs are people that bring things to life. So what is needed is actually a change on the mindset of the people and also change on our systems.
How can we bridge that gap? Really, primarily in our education system. How can people get more educated into developing the country more and the desire to develop the country?
I think the word that comes to my mind is independence. When I say independence, my trigger, a lot of people say like, yeah, but we're independent already, but we're still dependable on the Western world to operate.
Yeah. But nobody asks a question like, how do you stay poor?
You are watching the Fortunate Mindset Podcast.
All right. I mean, I really want to start with this quote as always. And this one is just an introduction to what we have to be talking today. And please, I'm not asking for us here in the platform to comment on it. I'm going to ask to our audience to comment and to tell us what they think about this quote. So it says this: life is full of challenges, obstacles, and problems, but learn to face them courageously with joy. Live every moment with happiness and positivity, for we never know.
Dang. The key word there I would say is joy
Definitely.
Yeah.
And happiness.
and happiness. Learn to pursue all the challenge or just go through anything that comes through any obstacles with joy.
Definitely. So, welcome to the FM podcast. I am really excited to have you back here. Here, your host, Jonathan Kenda, and the co host, Taylor Kenda. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad.
I
Yourself?
mean, I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm doing wonderful. Had been a great day, a good sermon today. Was so inspiring, man. I loved it so far. So, and we are having really a special guest.
Right.
I mean, he's a motivational speaker, a businessman, and he just doesn't really operate here in the United States. He has business that he operate here, but the business is in Africa.
Right.
So we know I am coming from Africa. I know how hard it is to have a business in Africa, especially when you're still around and you're still there leading everything. It's so complicated. But how is it possible for somebody living in the United States and lead business in Africa?
Yeah.
So we have to get into that, and then he has to explain to us what is going on. So
right. I'm excited. We're gonna be able to talk about his experience as well. Just bridging the gap between here and here in the States and Africa.
Yeah.
But this can also be applied anywhere else in the U.S.
Definitely.
What we're gonna be able to dive onto here. So I'm particularly interested in just being able to speak on the fact that a lot of people neglect the opportunities that they have in terms of education, the career path. Over in Africa and here as well in the States. So I'm really interested in this conversation. I think it's going to be a great talk.
That's really interesting. So, hey, Noon.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Nunes, you doing all right?
Doing great. It's good to be here, and thanks for having
How's
me.
your day been?
Well, it's been pretty good. Had a wonderful service today.
Yeah.
Just came straight here, and I was just looking forward for this interview.
Man, we appreciate you coming here. It's really an honor to have you in this platform today. So, how's your week going so far?
Well, the week's been good. Can't complain. Just juggle around school, work, business, and life in general. So
It's a lot.
yeah, it's
That's
a
a
lot, but you gotta do it anyways.
Tell us what you're currently studying, what business you're doing, and career path and everything.
Well, right now I'm going to UTA. I'm pursuing my mechanical engineering.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm just working part-time and full-time school.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just running my business from here, my business from Africa, from here. Yeah, and that's pretty much what's going on right now with me, basically. Yeah.
So how is it running business here? I mean, from Africa, but you living in United States.
Well, running business, first of all, it's itself is a challenge.
Yeah,
And more talking about running a business that's remote
yeah,
and it's just hiding anywhere in the world but in Africa. So it's been a challenge, but I always look as a learning opportunity because there were a lot of things that I didn't know that right now I know, and I can always be able to implement them on the future advantage and future adventures that are coming on the way.
Yeah.
And it's been a great experience. Besides not being like the way I projected to be by now,
yeah.
but it's been a great experience, and I believe like what I've learned and what I've been through is gonna be something really useful for me in the future as I would say on a personal level, on a professional, and also as an entrepreneur, as a businessman. So it's been challenged, but we thriving. We doing our best to get to our goals. Yeah.
I think very little people see the opportunity that they may have in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship here in the States, maybe also in Europe, especially in Africa. A lot of people don't see opportunities in entrepreneurship. They may have ideas,
Yeah.
but where to start, how even to get funding or inspiration. There's a lot of challenges that may come up in entrepreneurship if people want to start businesses. But what advice would you say would you have in terms of just starting in the first place and just kicking off a business?
Well, I'd say this. I believe a lot of people they kind of like to live on a safe, gotta be on safety. They operate on a safety environment. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. They operate in a safe environment. So what I mean is like, hey, I want something that's gonna be, I know for sure it's gonna work. And even if it doesn't work, I always can find my way around it. So I'd say, the example, like, hey, what have been like most of us, especially coming from Africa, is like, hey, you gotta go to school, gotta go to college, and get a job.
Right.
So that's kind of a direct path for a lot of us. So it's kind of direct, like, hey, if I get a degree on engineering and business, I'll most likely go out there. I might not have it right away, but I know, like, hey, 3 months or even a year, I might get a job. And the end of the month, I'm sure I'm gonna have a salary. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, first of all, is an area that's very challenging, and there's a lot of risk involved, and a lot of people don't actually like to take those risks. So it's something that you really have to put your mind into. It's like, hey, I'm gonna put something in there with the hope that, hey, this thing grows up over time. And whenever starting, it doesn't always give us a return that we need. So the thing is, like, you gotta be someone who takes risk, and also be someone who's not short-term minded, but also somebody who's long-term minded. Because you go to work, you get salary, nothing wrong with that. That's great. That's where we all have to start. You gotta have somewhere to start. But when we start looking at entrepreneurship, it's not something you go today and you expect tomorrow to have something right away. So I always look at nature. Like, if we plant a tree, so plant a tree, have a seed. First of all, it's underground, it's black, there's no sun or anything. So that's what I always like consider the start of any entrepreneur, any businessman. It's like out there, down there in the earth. But what you do is, like, every single day you water. You water the seed. Like,
Right.
whenever you're watering the seed, it start developing and come to the surface. There's a little things, it grows until whenever it can and start giving fruit. So that's the mindset you have to have around entrepreneurship. So you seed something, you plant something, you water it every day, it comes out, the sun hit on it, and after time and after a little time, keep investing. A lot of stuff might go wrong. It's not going to always be the first business that's going to run that's going to go off and kick off and make money. So that's all the things that you have to be like consistent. You gotta be consistent, and you gotta be patient and take a lot of risk. So you plant, you keep putting your time, your energy, your resources, everything that you might have in your disposition to actually make those things grow. That's actually what I always see as an entrepreneur in even business.
That's so deep, man. Um, I want to get just a keyword, entrepreneur or entrepreneurship. Why I'm taking that word? Because I just want us to, want you to explain to us. Is it a trend or a trending thing that almost every young man or woman that are on internet, social media. You look at their platform, you look at their social media. It's just entrepreneur, entrepreneur. So while I try to figure out, I try to understand what the difference between an entrepreneur, a self-employed, a businessman. So what makes the difference between us? Because between all of those people that I've talked
Yeah.
about, because what who is an entrepreneur? Who is a businessman? Who is a self-employed, right? It's not because you've started maybe, let's say, selling some stuff that you become an entrepreneur, right? So what makes the difference between those three people?
Well, what I usually think is like entrepreneurship is more, I'd say more creativity and innovation. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're someone who has to be creative.
Okay.
That's to start with. And entrepreneurs are people that bring things to life. Just like I would say engineers, you have an idea, you have a concept, and we work around it and we bring something to life. So we create stuff as an entrepreneur. You create stuff, you create businesses, you create product, you create services. So on the business side, most of the time, or most of the businesses, like those are, I would say, industries and products or even services that are already in the market and they're already established. So what I do is like, hey, there's already a photography business that's been around. So what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna be also make part of this of this industry. Like I'll just get my camera, get a I don't know degree or something, learn about it, and I just make part of it. So when you might have a business and you run a business out of your talent or out of that photography or video or whatever it might be. So that's what actually what I always consider people as a business people, has something established there and also and you just come make part of it and you make your own. So, and also entrepreneur also can be also businessman, whether also same thing that work as a self-employed. Like, hey, you're self-employed, you cannot just work for yourself, basically. You run a business, you're self-employed, you might be a businessman or maybe sometimes not, but it's just something like you're doing your work instead of working for someone else, and you have a salary, you have a compensation at the end of the week or end of the month or at the end of the project or whatever it might be. But you work something, you do something that's your own, like let's say you're a YouTuber, you create content, you get paid, and everything is around you. Just that's what's kind of make different from a lot of entrepreneurial and also businessmen, because tend to hire people and get to work with also other people in different industries and all those kind of stuff, basically.
I think self-employment. There's you may for example work for Uber. You manage your own time. You have your clients that you have, and you manage them as well. So you're self-employed.
Sure.
But you're not an entrepreneur in that instance.
Yeah.
You haven't created something out of from scratch, and you're not running like a bakery of any sorts. So there's a lot of differences in like what we were talking about here: entrepreneurship, business, and then having having our own business or having our own employment.
Definitely. So that is actually the thing that I was thinking people should learn and know about, because everybody is trying to call themselves entrepreneur. Maybe as just you mentioned, they just run Uber, Lyft, and all of this stuff. Then they be, oh, I'm an entrepreneur because I'm not working for anybody else. I'm doing my own time and all of that. But it's not really entrepreneurship. So talking about you doing being in the States but running business in Africa. So can you tell us, like, as an entrepreneur, what role can entrepreneurship play into the future of Africa, and how can we motivate a lot of young people into getting into the leap of creating more businesses?
Well, when I would say like Africa as general as a continent actually need a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, because you need a lot of things to be created, and we need to innovate as a people. So I would say what happens, I think, is the way things are actually set up. The economic system and the political system doesn't actually help a lot when it comes to live and entrepreneurs, even people with business, grow and be get to a point that I can actually make a great impact on the development of the country or even the continent of itself. And the other side is also are the people. The people also doesn't the people also don't actually have the mindset of what I was saying earlier is like have a instead of having a long-term mindset, have a short-term mindset, and we want something quick, and we don't have the mentality of actually sitting down, being patient, and like water that plant, water that seed before it can grow, because the development of a country, of the continent, is not something that's overnight.
Yeah.
It's something that takes years and takes a lot of work, a lot of resources, a lot of investment. And this is, I believe, what a lot of us are failing, or even a lot of people are failing to understand. And sometimes kind of be a part of this, also be a victim because of the system, especially of the political system we have. Like when you start a lot of business, there are already people up there. You gotta play the game. So a lot of people see like a lot of stuff are like they're not private. A lot of companies, a lot of business, a lot of industries are not privatized. They're like people from the government, like governors, ministers, and vice presidents and senators. So those are the people who run those industries. So if you're gonna be part of that industry, you gotta play the games, and they don't actually let you thrive as an entrepreneur to get to a level like you can actually make a great impact. Like, you gotta be with them. You gotta play by their rules. That you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So the system itself doesn't allow people to actually have that mindset of investing, because there's corruption going on. There's corruption going on, so people don't have the mindset. So starting from the top, from the government itself, like people out there just rigging the country out. Money comes for investment, something a project of 100 million, they'll put 30 millions and the 7 millions are in their pockets.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we're running like, hey, we want this, we get this money, and we're not thinking long term. And we know that and people say like, hey, I'm making this money, I'm making that money out of, stealing and all that kind of stuff. But we don't know, like, over time it's going to have a negative impact. So entrepreneurship is something that's really necessary. And it's going to make a real change, but the system itself got to change, because you have to make a lot of sacrifices, and a lot of people don't want to make those sacrifices, and even some people that are actually making those sacrifices but still not get to that point. So you get to that point of exhaustion. It's like, yeah, man, I'm tired, you know what, I'm just going to settle for something that I'm going to do, and as long as I can feed my family, I can feed my dreams, and you stop forgetting like, hey, I can do something for greater good for the other people. I have to do something for my community, for my country, So a lot of people have the fire on them to actually create something, to find something. But first of all, you don't have the resources. Right now I'm talking $100 in Angola now is 100,000 kwanza. And base salary is like $35,000, 35,000 kwanza, which is like $35 or $40. So you can imagine how much money you need to get those resources.
Yeah.
And then here comes the government, like you have to pay taxes, you have to pay a lot of money, even if you're actually not making money. I run myself to that problem, because you're not producing, but you still have to pay your dues to the government. So all those things actually impact negatively for the people who actually want to invest, who want to innovate. You get the money, you get the course, keep working, but you're working 3, 5 years, but you're still like, hey, I'm not seeing any lights in the tunnel. So you know what, hey, I'm gonna keep investing on this, I'm gonna keep investing on that, but I'm not seeing anything. So man, I gotta do something for myself as well. You don't just want to be there like, hey, gonna do all of you, and at the end there's nothing. So it's really what it says, like, I have a lot of people have a lot to do, even though there's always a lot of people that don't want to do anything, because especially in Angola, I would say things were like made easy for people back in the days. We had a lot of free stuffs, we have a lot of pass, and like, yeah, don't care about this, don't care about that. So people kind of live in that mentality that like, everything's supposed to be easy, or just go to school, get a job, and this kind of stuff. It's just, everybody's just comfortable. So but when you actually need to be uncomfortable for greater good, people don't want to be in that discomfort, the discomfort of the, being able to not have a salary every day. Sometimes you don't make any money, and all those sacrifices, and then you see also you're working on stuff that are not actually working, or you even working but you're not getting where you're supposed to be. So that kind of frustrating puts people back. And the other aspect also is the people. We've seen stories where people are here outside of in Europe, send money to Africa for people like, hey, buy me a house, build me a house, or do this to me, and you get there. People don't actually do those things, you know. So people have the money, have the will, but the system itself doesn't help ourselves. Our own people out there don't help us as well. So what we're gonna do, like, man, I'm here, I'm getting my money. I'll just prefer struggle here with whatever's going on here, you know. So what is needed is actually a change on the mindset of the people, and also change on our systems, the political system, the economic system. Because if people mentality a change and the system a change, it's easy to those people, though, to those two things come together and make a good thing, you know. Because the system might be good, but if the people are not right, those two is not gonna work.
True.
You know, the system might be wrong, but the people are good. That's not gonna work, because we need the system, because we travel through the system. You know, business, entrepreneurship, all those things run through the system. So we need both parties to actually be in. Do we be accordingly and have the same goal, you know, like we all want to grow, we all want to do something for the greater good, you know. So by until those two things don't come together, it's going to be hard. People are going to keep investing, people are going to think, I want to continue to invest and have those ideas, but it's going to be really difficult to, like, I would say, get to a point that we see like a significant change, you know. So we still need those changes.
Yeah. Wow, that's very deep. You touched on a lot of very important points.
Sure, definitely.
That I want to dive into, but let's go back a little bit, because I truly believe that the future of Africa, not only Africa but just underdeveloped countries, is in the youth.
Exactly.
So the youth is extremely important. In regards to the youth, we see this in a lot of underdeveloped countries. Not only when we're looking at the continent of Africa, we see that a lot of people may finish a degree. They go through their studies. They get an accounting degree. They get finance, whatever they're going to get a degree in. And then right after their degree, you see them with a finance degree, and then they're selling water on the streets.
Yeah.
They're selling bread.
Yeah.
Because there's no job opportunities. There's no opportunities of growth. So like you mentioned, it's also in our system that things must change. So how do you think people that are going through that, they may be about to finish their education, but there's no job opportunity waiting for them, even here in the US? What do you think people in that situation can do?
Well, what I always think people in those situations do, because we cannot just graduate and go out there and open factories and stuff for us to work, you know. So it's really hard to navigate through when you get out of college, you graduate, to get a job and those kind of things. What I usually say is for me, it has been like a mindset of like patience and like actually put things to work, and so you get something good later. So I had ideas like, when you graduate, you don't have anything, you gotta have friends. You have friends, you get people together. Hey, I'm an accountant major, I'm an architecture major, I'm mechanical engineer major. Hey, what can we do? Okay, this is our expertise, this is our expertise. Let's all come together. Let's create something, you know. And a lot of time you start off doing things for free, because you're out there, you don't have the experience, you don't have the resources. So you gotta find your way into the industry and find your way into those businesses, so we can actually get the work. And a lot of time that's how you get the experience, you know. So a lot of people, and talking about an African and in general, what happened is that even people, if with this suggestion just made of like getting people to work together, but you still need to survive. So people, the first thing they have in their mind is survival. I gotta do something so I can pay the rent. At the end of the day, put some food on my table. So that's one step. Like, hey, I gotta get something going on. Like, hey, at the end of the day, I have to eat, I have to pay their bills and all this kind of stuff. That's the first step. You gotta find something. And a lot of people don't actually get those things because, like, man, I'm an engineer. I'm not gonna go settle down for a job that's not as engineering or as an accountant, you know. So you gotta find yourself a way to something to make you, you know, survive and keep up going. And just like, hey, get some people around. Hey, let's build something, you know. You make a design, I'll work on this, I'll work on that. Let's go sell this project. Hey, let's go, like, hey, let's go, you know, hey, we have this expertise, we can help this company and this, that, like, for free, you know. You get that project done, like, people start kind of have trust on you. Hey, these people, that person can do this, that person can do that. And all the time, if you keep, making those connections, making networking, people actually know you in the industry. People know, hey, this guy can do this, can do that, and you also have experience that can also opens up your, I would say, opens up also your way into like people getting to know you and getting to give you a job. And one thing is also before you graduate, I think we were talking earlier here when we're setting up is whenever you're in college, you have to be, you gotta, what to say is like, you gotta be involved. You gotta be involved, because if you're not involved, you're not gonna be able to do anything. Because a lot of stuff, and I figured that out, is not only in Africa, but even here, a lot of time to get jobs, you actually need people. Because that person knows that person that knows that person. If a job opens up, even opportunity opens up, like, I know someone, hey, I know Tyler is a aerospace engineer, you can give him his role. But if you someone is not involved, people don't know you, people don't know who you are, what you do, what you're capable of. So there are a lot of opportunities gonna pass you by, but you don't know who to present it to. You have the expertise, people can give you that job, people can give you that project, but nobody knows you. So that's what I always say is like, and even myself, when I started college, I was not involved, just go to school, go back home, and those kind of thing. But hey, like, hey, you gotta be involved, go to those clubs, get to those meetings, go to those conferences, anything you can present yourself in, go there, meet people, and all those kind of things. You
involved.
actually get involved. You actually need people, because those connections gonna help you a lot. Gonna really help you a lot. So first of all, is like, you need connections. You need connections, you need network, you gotta know people, people gotta know you. You gotta make sure you know people, and also people know you. And also is not, or something, a lot of mistake a lot of people did is like, whenever going to school, they only focus on like, hey, I'm an engineer, so I'm just gonna go to my curriculum, and when I finish, that's it. But we don't know other things also count, like certifications, extracurriculum activities, you certify in this, you certified on that. So you don't just present your degree, but you also present, hey, I have this certificate. And also, hey, I made part of this club, I held a leadership role. So you have all those little things on the side. Hey, I work as a secretary, I have communication skills. Because people, when someone they're hiring you, also you have to see a potential in you. This person didn't just graduate, but he also was involving. He is able to lead, he's able to communicate, he's able to work under stress. That's a lot of time you go to interviews, they ask you like, hey, have you ever been in a situation like, hey, you got a problem, like, were you able to solve it? Because they gotta see potential, because school is different from the workplace. It's not like you go to class, they give you lecture, and then after they give you an exam. But out there is a problem already.
You gotta actually apply what you learn.
You have to apply what you learn, and a lot of times you don't even like have the full thing. You have to go through the problem until you learn something out of it. So going through college, you gotta be involved. Learn, get you to your curriculum, but get involved, get to know people, let people also know you, and get as much as experience in different areas you can. Internships, volunteering, community services, all the things count a lot when going through your resume. 2 weeks ago, I met someone who works for the Bureau of Employment of the United States, and she was telling me like, hey, what people are actually looking right now, even the bureau, is like, hey, you gotta have things outside of your only curriculum. Those experiences, like volunteering is something might sound like, man, I don't want to go volunteer like 3 hours of my time, but it's very important. And yeah, those were, if you volunteer in your resume, even just going to volunteer, you go to meet people, your network is important too. Community services, internships, all those things. A lot of people, that's actually what recruiters are looking for. You have a degree, good, everybody can get a degree, but not everybody can get all through those experiences and those things. So if you go through college and you take those steps, you get involved in all this kind of stuff, and you graduate, you have a higher possibility to actually get something. I have a friend of mine who graduated 2 years ago, and is working for an accounting firm. Is one of like top 3 in the world, and was just because of someone. He knew someone. I was like, hey, I just graduated, and like, hey, help me get through here. And LinkedIn, like, hey,
networking is very, very big.
It's very important. So it's something that a lot of people have to adapt to that.
So what about those people that are, like, when you're speaking about networking, those people that are shy? They don't want to, they're not able to just go out and be extrovert and talk to everybody, what kind of tips can they what things can they do to just go outside of their bubble to network and then meet more people and then expand their opportunity that they have?
Well, it's really hard to go from like being shy person or somebody really who's introverted to like go out there and talk to everyone. So how you start is like starting small, like from the classroom. You know, like hey, you have one colleague, you have a schoolmate, like you talk to one person. That person has three friends. Next time you're gonna meet him, you're gonna meet the other three friends. So just like that, you see like you keep growing and you keep like enlarging that bubble of like people keeps being more out there. Like you don't have actually just go straight and talk to everybody out there, but like in church, go out to church, talk to people that are actually kind of in your area, in their area, in your zone. People at church, people at work, or people are talking about youth, people in college. Your classmate. Hey, can we start together? Hey, can we work this project together? Those little groups, like is a group of one, next tomorrow is a group of two, next tomorrow is a group of three, and like, hey, there's an event. Oh, hey, let's go all together as friends. Five people out there. You go there, and because we always need a support. That's why community is very important. So you always need support. So if you have two, three people, and all of you can actually like as a group go out there, you kind of say like, hey, I'm here. I might be scared by myself, but hey, I know, hey, Tyler's here. Hey, the guy is here. We all kind of have that sense of security. So hey, Tyler's here, guys here, but like, hey, I know like people are here. They're gonna support me if something goes wrong. They're here for me. You kind of have that support. So you really have to find one, two, three people, and that's gonna help you like even go further. So someone like we both shy, we don't have have those people around you. People also kind of have the same goal. We all want to network, so we all kind of have the same mindset, and we're working for the same goal, so it's easy for us to navigate through. So you need people. So
All right, all right. I mean, to this point, what I would say, to everybody's listening, watching this, can you just take a little time, write in the comment below, what are the challenges that you think people are going through, either it's in Africa or in other places? So, and then we will try to bring guests that can talk about it and solve and give advices in a way that we can solve those challenges. And what do you think is the most problem that people face in Africa, especially? That is what you can write in the comment section below. What is the problem of Africa? Why do African people don't develop? Why do African people don't have a lot of businesses or are not entrepreneurs? So, and if you give us your answer, your point of view, we'll bring people that we can talk about it. So, from here, um, Nunes. So I heard you talk about political problem, economic. So, but as a youth and a young entrepreneur that lead a business in Africa, right? So, what made you, or what makes you keep going, despite the economic uncertainty and political, instability?
yeah.
So, how do you keep it going?
Well, I believe I always been somebody who was really optimistic
Mm-hmm.
and always look to see through something good through the worst situations. And right now, as I speak, things in Angola are not going really well. Like, is we in a state of a chaos, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Inflation's going on. The exchange dollar have a like really negative impact on a lot of things. So it's really hard right now to navigate, like even on the personal level, or even companies, even people that work still go through those problems. And for me, is what it actually kind of make me go is like always have that faith. I know, like if I keep pushing, somehow and somewhere and sometime there's something that's gonna come through at this out of this business, out of this adventure, out of this whatever, out of this project. And the thing is, a lot of situations might be going wrong on a lot of in a lot of circumstances, but they always have something that can go on some type of direction, you know. So when I started, I have a different idea than what I do today. So I think what kept me going is like it's being able to adapt to change and circumstances that come along the way.
Wow, adaptability is
Yeah,
Abilities.
adaptability is something
Very
that's very
good
important.
skill to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because things don't always go as planned. You know, when starting business, a lot of us always kind of the way to go is having a business plan. You know,
Yeah.
you plan like, this is where you're going to do, this is how you're going to do this, how much are we going to make, but to get to a certain point that things don't go well, and you have to change. And a lot of people that don't have the skill of being able to adapt,
Yeah.
they just quit there.
Okay.
So for me, sorry. So for me, it's like, hey, this thing didn't work. I'll look for another path. You know, the goal doesn't change at all, but I always have to look different path. The political system or even the economic situation in the country have like really impacted my businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I had to find a way around to continue to do business and continue to do something. And might be like, hey, I'm not doing a lot, but I might be doing something small. But as long as keep my foot on the gas, allowing the pedal, I know like I'm gonna keep going on. At the same time, something might change and something gonna change. You know, because what's happening right now is like things are going really, really bad. But it gets to a point like things get really on the point like, hey, it cannot get bad than this. So what happened? Like people get to a point like, hey, we must change whatever. Whatever is the situation, we have to change because there's no we done. You know, enough is enough. So I think is what's gonna happen. I'll see at least that's what I see coming in Africa and a lot of countries. Like people are gonna get to a level of like, hey, we've taken too much. You know, enough is enough. Now we have to change, and we're getting to that point. And it might be something that a lot of people are scared of, but I'm sure looking into it because we have to get that. If you don't get there, nothing's going to change. So change is something that's really difficult and it's hard, but it's necessary, you know, and it comes with a lot of challenges.
Sure.
It comes with a lot of insecurities, comes with a lot of suffering. You know, we have really to sacrifice, give a lot of things up, but it's if that's what needed to change, we got to go through it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we're definitely talking about this change. I believe in 2020, I was reading an article. I think it was published by, I think it was Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, either Nigeria or Uganda, one of the first countries, where they produced the first car in Africa. Now, in my mind, I'm asking, why did it take this long?
Yeah.
Why did it take this long for us to manufacture a car in Africa? We have here in America, there was the Model T, if everybody's familiar with that, Ford, that was made in the early 1900s. How, 100 years later, why did it have to take this long? Wow, we have all the resources that we need to be able to manufacture that type of technology. And I'm looking at aircrafts that are even that a lot of countries still need to develop in Africa. So we have so far to go, a long ways to go. So in regards to that, how can we bridge that gap in terms of the technology that needs to be made? Not only the technology, but really primarily in our education system, right? How can people get more educated into developing the country more and the desire to develop the country? Because a lot of people don't have that desire as well in Africa. They have a more destructive desire rather than just building desire.
Yeah. I think the word that comes to my mind is independence. And when I say independence, might trigger a lot of people say like, "Hey, but we independent already." But we still dependable on the Western world to operate.
Yeah.
We still depend on them. We have the resources, you know. We have the gold, we have the iron, the cobalt, everything, the lithium. We have all that what is necessary to operate and do those stuff. But we still depend on the Western world. You know, it still wonders me like countries in Africa come to Europe and US to borrow money, billions of $billions to sponsor projects there. And what I was saying independence is like Africa has the resources. And if we use our resources for our own good and to build stuff, that means the rest of the world is now gonna depend on us because we have the resources and they have to depend on us for those resources. So what happens during all over the years is that we kind of put people, what I'd say is like in a position where you actually have to depend on them. And I'll give an example. Angola goes to China and borrow money, go to millions of $1 million. You have 300 million, 500 million, a billion. At the end of the year or after 10 years, you end up, let's say, owing $10 billion and you cannot pay that money back. It's going to be like, hey, you know what? Hey, you cannot pay this money back. So what's going to happen is this: you're going to sell us your oil cheap. You sell
Not
your
even
oil cheap.
sell, just will be exploding.
We've been exporting. Like, hey,
yeah.
you know, that's project in Angola that were done by Chinese because they borrowed the money to them. You know, they start now imposing things to you because you cannot pay those debts. And this is something that African leaders don't see. You know, you get to a point where you're owing so much money. Now you have to depend on those people because whatever they tell you, you have to do it because you're owing them. You know, like, hey, you gotta sell your oil cheap. Your resources, you have to get it, and you don't grow your own food. We still depend on food and meat coming outside and all those kind of things. So all those things we're still depending on dollars. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna make us able to actually get the stuff done by ourselves. So what needs to happen is like someone have to, you know, rise up and say like, hey, enough is enough. You know, gotta find a way. We have to fight for ourselves. You know, we have to do something for ourselves. You know, we don't want to depend. Can you imagine have people, countries in Africa that have the oil, but the world is refined outside and then can be sold to us again? Something that doesn't actually make any sense at all.
Absolutely no sense.
The oil comes here, but it's refined outside and then it's sold to us back. The gold is mined here, is exported outside, and then they make all the things, whatever they do, and come sell to us, which doesn't make any sense. So someone have to come as a leader, say, hey, enough is enough. This is how things are gonna work. And the Western world is not gonna like it. So it's gonna give us sanctions and a lot of stuff's gonna happen. And we're gonna go through a really hard period of time because to adapt to that change, but it's something that's gonna be necessary. Or if we gotta come to like I'd say a deal, you know, like, hey, this is what we do. Let us produce our own food. Let us have our own manufacturing. Let us have some type of independence, you know. We're still going to pay your money back. We're still going to have our alliances going on, but we need to do stuff for ourselves, you know. Because there's no industries, especially in Angola. There's no industries. There's no like a huge agriculture things that can actually support. Today, if they say like, hey, there's no more containers coming outside, people are going to die of starving. But we have acres of land that are not being used for plantation or anything, you know. So people that are in power really have to think about that, like, hey, put something that's going to sustain the country for the long run, you know, industries, agriculture, invest in the country for, you know, in the infrastructure. We can get more tourists and all those kind of things, you know, really try to have independence, because right now we still dependable on the Western world. That's something we really they have to work on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You hit it right on the nail. Independence is extremely. I think Africa has to reach a point where every country in Africa is independent of the Western world for anything, technology, whether it's
financial systems,
financially, economically, anything. You spoke about this earlier as well. The corruption.
Yeah.
You may have, like the example you gave earlier, you may want to invest in a property in Africa. You may want to buy a property there or build a property from scratch, or even just run a business like you do. Speak to the challenges in that, in terms of what kind of the people that you may be working with remotely, what kind of challenges you would face in regards to a project like that. Taking on a project such as building a home in Africa, or even any type of business that you may want to run.
Well, a lot of people in Africa, and I don't want to say everybody, are very opportunistics. If that's the right word. So if we see an opportunity, like we can get some money, we can get advantage of something, we take it right away. And we're gonna go back to the same thing of the mindset of short-term mindset and a long-term mindset. starting from the example of real quick, we'll go quick about this. People like investing in uh, building home, even buying home in Africa. What happens a lot of time? People send money. They have this project, send money to family members, friends, or partner, or whatever. People get those money, but they never build exactly what it asked for. They might build something, but it's gonna be something that is not fully finished. They might get the walls up, but it's not gonna be in a good quality because that's the opportunity. Like somebody send $1,000, 500 is gonna go to my pocket, and 500 they're gonna just do whatever it is. We don't put what happens. People when the idea when we are here outside of Africa is like we have all the money. Compared to there, of course we do. But here we still have to live here, and the money you actually get here maybe not the same. Is not this doesn't have the same impact that it's gonna have there in Africa. So people say like, yeah, he's in States, he has a lot of money. He works on hourly basis, whatever you make, how much this the X thousand amount of dollars a month. So people see like, yeah, these people have good. So people just take advantage of those opportunities and they don't do anything. When I started my business, the first challenge I had was actually to find someone who was trustworthy to run the business. That's one point.
That's a challenge in of itself.
Yes,
Sure.
that's one thing that I realized over time. You need someone that understands your vision, is on board with you,
Yeah.
and whatever comes in the way is gonna be there for you. Get the heat as well. You need that person to run everything there smoothly. When I started, I didn't really have someone. I had someone that it was like a partner for me. It was signing the deals and everything, but it wasn't that 100% of the time. I trusted some people to do the job. What happens is that they start taking the equipments of the company to work on their personal business.
Okay.
You have the cameras, you have the laptops, you have all those things, and you start taking that to work on your on the personal because they don't have those resources to do those jobs. So they start giving those stuffs, and what's happened a long time when I find out, it's like, yeah, this cannot work because this is for the companies, So when now start putting things in order, it's like, hey, after every day when you finish job outside, somebody take the equipment, go there, you go take it when you need them. And people didn't have no more disadvantage of doing their personal stuff with the company's equipment. Once start having, they start losing interest because they don't have that advantage that can take over you anymore. It looks like I'm getting a salary, but I'm not getting enough. I'm not able to like take more advantage of this person over this. So they start like backing up. It's like, hey, this tree doesn't have fruit anymore. You start backing up. And the other thing, that have the expectation like you have all the money, and when you have all the money, don't think like you also have to run the business, you have to run the life. And they just want to like, yeah, you gotta pay them and give them as much as they want. And this is what a lot of thing people don't think is like when they see when you start a business, the money is coming in or not. People don't know like you are in more risk than them.
That's true.
If their companies go bankrupt or you finish the business, that person's gonna go next door, find another job. Might take a while, but find another job. He's gonna get it, definitely. But you as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, is gonna happen. You had the funding, put a lot of money. You have to have the time, the sacrifice. You have to put all those things in, and you don't get those things back.
Yeah.
And people don't see that through. And even when you start making money, think like, yeah, he's getting all the money, but you don't know like you had to sacrifice more than that. So the problem is we have people there. People just take advantage of all the opportunities that they receive. If someone give you money to start a business, like what idea I had with work with those people, we had great ideas, great business, and we had great plan, but they were not patient enough to stay around to be able to like, hey, when the time hit, when the times get right, like we get on starting, we work and we get to the level that we want to start now. Also, like, hey, we happy everybody gets something out of it. They were like, hey, right now the opportunity is presented, let's just cut them off. I came up with a quote that said, "Is like when we plant a tree, we water it, and when it grows, and it gives fruits, we get the fruits, right? And because we have to think like we get a fruit, but we're gonna keep watering the plant so it can keep giving fruits. But what happens to a lot of people, and this happens a lot in Africa, is like we get the fruits, we don't water the plant, it dies, or the tree dies, or we even cut the plant itself. So we don't have anything.
You cut the main source.
We cut the main source, exactly. So people don't think on the source. They're just thinking of what's coming out of the source. They take everything that's coming out of the source because the source also needs something back. If you take something or everything from the source has nothing to work with. You understand? So when you take everything out of the source and there's nothing to work with, the source dies. And this is what happens. So people take everything off the source and there's nothing to source work on. So they just finish everything and it's dead. So this is what I'd say for our African friends and families. You gotta have a long-term mindset. We have to think forward. You have to be able to to invest, to sacrifice for a greater good, and stop taking advantage of like the situation that come out of that come to us for like instant gratification. You want money right now.
Sure.
You want the business right now. We want the whatever it is right now. We don't think like, hey, we're gonna need this tomorrow. What I think is like, hey, I just don't want some. I'll better wait in the future so I can get something constantly, so I can have a flow.
Yeah.
People don't think about that, I want to have a flow later. But what people want to have right now is just like whatever they got, and that's it. And they're so limited to that. They have a bucket of water, but they're not think like, hey, if I have a tap over there, that tap is going to pour water.
Yeah.
You understand? So this is what's going to happen. People got to have a long-term mindset and also be able to put themselves in the position of the person that is actually giving man those opportunities. Man, it's hard here. We all work here. We go to school. We see how hard it is to get the money. And then you send the money out there. People take advantage of stuff, I had to shut down one of the part of my businesses just 3 months ago. Was a game house. To get a game house was a gaming house, had like VRs, PlayStation, and all this kind of stuff. And people go there, even the clients and people work, they didn't care about much. People come here. Those are things that cost a lot. PS4 last year, PS5 last year was cost almost $1,000. So now you put that thing there, the VRs are, but people don't actually take care of it. They don't care. They only have at the end of the day to make the money. They give you something. They also cut their own share, and that's it for them. Now, I had to close down because at the end it seemed like, hey, this is not working. This is not working. Machine's problem, whatever. But this is not gonna work. Now the thing is shut down, so nobody's getting anything anymore. So now imagine if those same people would have like, hey, be careful enough and put themselves in my position. Like, hey, this is something is a great investment. Like, hey, let's keep working on it. Let's protect it so it keeps every single day, every single month, every single year to give us money.
Sure.
Now that sources, there's nothing more there. Neither myself and the people, they don't have anything more to get. So that's the mindset of people. Is like, we have to look forward. We have to look behind. It's like I was reading something. I don't remember. It was like, I think it was the Psychology of Need, if I'm not wrong. Like, people want something is first of all to survive. They need survival, and then the next step is something for them to be comfortable, and then something they can invest by. A lot of people, we just stop on the first level. We just want something right now, get something to survive, and we get to that survival mode, but we have to be careful, because you don't want to remain on the survival mode. You want to actually go a step forward. You're gonna go forward. This is what a lot of people don't understand. When you are in survival mode, people just get comfortable. I'm comfortable here, survival mode, cool. But they now like, I'm in survival mode, but I have to also work a little bit to get off the survival mode so I can go to a level where I'm comfortable. I'm just not surviving, but I'm actually living. That's what people also have to fail to understand.
Okay. I mean, this is really great, and we're gonna finish with this 3 questions.
Okay.
But before getting to those 3 questions, you talk about change. We talk about how hard it is to change, what we need to do to change a lot of things in Africa, especially for us young and youth that are in the entrepreneurship business. So, and if you talk to a lot of people, they will say like, change is really difficult, change is really hard. Like, it's so complicated to do it.
Yeah.
But the message that I have that we can share right now, there is this quote that say, it may seem difficult at first, but everything is difficult at first.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, nothing. The hardest things to do is to start.
Yeah.
That is where 95% of people are stuck. They never start.
Wow.
Right.
Mhm.
They never start at all. They keep waiting and making excuses. So if you want to break a bad habit, the first few days will be harder.
Mhm.
And after a few weeks, it will get pretty easy to keep going.
Mhm.
So by that, I say, so many people, just as you say about networking, don't get themselves around people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
They take advice from people who have things that they don't want to have or things that they don't want to be.
Yeah.
But I would say this to advise to people: if they don't have what you want, don't listen to what they say.
Mhm.
Stop taking advices from people you don't want to become.
Yeah.
Stop listening to other people's opinion about how you should live your life
Mhm.
and what you should do. Their advice are completely useless.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
It's your life. Live the way you want to.
Yeah.
Man.
So, what's the best advice you've ever heard, received, or given?
The best advice. It's a hard one. Um, I believe is to be authentic
That's good. That's good.
because today's world is we have a lot of information. There's an overflow of information. There's a lot of influence. So it's really easy for us to get trapped to trying to follow somebody's path and try to do things the way other people do, and we don't get to like have to get the stuff the way it's supposed to be because everyone in the world has something in them that need to contribute. Something I say is always we all have something to give. But when we don't look inside of ourselves and see what is in there for us to give, we look what other people are giving, and also we try to duplicate or replicate what they're giving. So by being authentic, I said, it's not being a weirdo or anything, but it's really look inside of you and see what you can do and how you can do things in your way that can change and impact yourself, the society, and the world as a whole. That's what I would say.
That's good.
And what the worst advice that you ever
The worst
received
advice.
or given?
The worst advice.
Yeah.
Let me think about it.
Man,
Huh.
what you said earlier is it's still stuck in my head right here. Dang. Don't take advice from people you don't want to become.
Yeah.
Dang. Oh my God.
Yeah, sure,
That's
bro.
good.
Yeah, sure.
That's good.
That's really good, man. I read about it. It just stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
It was there.
I think the worst is just like, hey, just be like everyone.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah, it's
that's
really
good.
easy to be like everyone. Everyone is walking this direction. You just go there. You just follow the lead, Just follow, you just go with the flow. That's what they say,
Oh, yeah.
Just go with the flow.
Mm,
Yeah, but
There's a book that I was reading. I think this was about 5 years ago. The Path Less Followed.
okay.
yeah.
It speaks on, and there's a lot of concept. Jesus even brought this up as well. The narrow path.
Yeah.
Just the way a lot of people pursue a certain thing, whether it's social media, whether it's finances. A lot of people there'll be something that people are attracted to.
Yeah.
But then something else that's small, that's simple, that's
Yeah.
it seems to be nothing.
Nothing. Yeah,
But
sure.
then when you follow something of the sort, if you turn your eyes on that, you may see an opportunity within that. I'm not saying
Yeah.
just neglect everything. But
Yeah, sure.
certainly that idea in and of itself is very very unique.
Yeah.
Where
Definitely.
there's always a road that's
Everybody follows.
goes to, but then there's a path that's less followed.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Because a lot of times when I talk to people, it's like, hey, man, why are you in the States? Why are you worried about stuff back here in Africa, man? Just forget about here. But they don't say like, hey, in 10 years and 20 years from now, because you see people coming from the States and Europe, they're going there making money.
Sure.
Why can't we that already there make the same money. Because when I was there, I kind of had the same mentality, you know. That's why I say it's really important sometimes, you know, you get out of somewhere so you can look better.
Yeah.
You know, when I got here to the States, I see how the things work here, the things I've been here, they actually like opened my horizons and opened my mind to like limitless possibilities, you know. So when you're inside of the bubble, you don't really see how much you can do and how much far you can go. But when you get out, you analyze the thing from a distance, you see like, hey, there's actually a lot I can do, you know. And we just follow everybody, you know, like everybody just go to school, go to work, go to get a job, a salary, have a good family, and that's it. You know, we don't really think like we have something on ourselves that we can do to make a change, you know. Like we can also be able to contribute, you know. What are those other people that have, you know, we talk about today people that had like they get great invention, the Edison's, the a Tesla, you know, Martin Luther King, people that fought for something, you know, something that, and that's something a lot of people miss is like you have to live for something. You gotta live for something. You know, we always say like, hey, you gotta have something to wake up. Yeah, but what are you living for? Like, what is that thing? Like you say, like, yeah, I'm going about my life, but there's something I want to achieve. You know,
Yeah.
like for me, it's like, hey, I'm a young man. I'm going to school. I'm just trying to make businesses, whatever. But I want to be able in the future, like, hey, I want to create jobs. You know, I want to create opportunities. I want to do something that's going to be impactful for the young people, for the country, for the continent, for the world. You know, that's how you see out there making videos. You know, reading, do all the stuff. You know, I gotta make something. You know, I gotta leave something.
Be
Have
impactful.
be impactful. You know, make that impact. You know, you gotta work. You gotta be worth something. You know, we all have a purpose in this life, and a lot of people don't see like, hey, we have to. That's what we're saying. Be authentic and look inside of yourself. What is in there that you can like you can bring to the world, you know. There's social media today, internet, there's a lot of things going on. So sometimes like you have to shut everything down. Shut everything down. Listen to the source of the universe, to God, for those that are religious, you know. Go there and look for something like, hey, what can you do? And sometimes it's not doesn't have to be something like it's huge or like extraordinary. Like some maybe something small. Maybe it's just inside your house, how you teach your kids, how you impact the lives of your siblings. Those same life you impacted going to impact other lives, and those life are going. So it's like something is a sequence, you know. You gotta just do something good, that's something gonna have impact on the other person, and the other things it's gonna keep on going. You know, it has a quote that says the well-being of a universe is live for others.
To live for others. That's right.
Yeah. So, and you have to ask yourself, what am I doing that people are having benefits of it? You know, because if you're doing things that only benefit yourself, you're not doing anything. You know, God made the world for us, give us nature, give us life, and we give Him praise and worship. We follow His lead and all this kind of stuff. But what are you doing for other people?
It's powerful.
What's
That's
doing for other
great.
people? Yeah.
I love that. And we're gonna close this episode from here just in one or two words. One day when you are not part of this world anymore, what do you want people to remember about you?
When I'll be gone, I want people to remember me as someone who helped other people, somebody who made an impact on people's life, who changed people's life, somebody who had a huge impact on the society. You know, I built something. When I'm gone, people look at it say like, "Yeah, that's Nunes' work." You know, someone who passed here did something that's gonna be beneficial for generations to come. You know, just something that's gonna impact and change people's life. Because I believe if we change people's life, anything else can be changed through that.
That's great.
Definitely.
Can't wait to see what that thing is.
Amen.
That's good. And I
So-
just like to, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I know
just
you're
like to say
good.
thank you for having me today. It was
Yeah,
really
man.
great.
Yes,
It's always, for me, it's always a pleasure when I sit down and talk to people about personal development and business. So it's always been a pleasure. And thank you for having me.
Man, your
Thank you for
presence
joining
was
us on
very
our
Yeah,
podcast.
and you have a
Thank
good
you so
setup
much.
here. So I
Thank
believe
you.
you continue to bring more people, young
Yeah.
people like myself and yourself, that can be here. There's a lot of people out there that actually need this. And sometimes we don't see the impact, we don't see the comments, but what we post a lot of times have impact on people's life that we don't see and we don't know.
Sure.
Somebody might see something, and this has happened to me. I'll see something from someone, maybe I won't tell that person, but that thing changed, that one thing changed something in myself, you know. So it's very important. So
That's why we need
whatever
this.
whatever you're doing, even if you're not getting the accolades, but you just keep doing, it's like you're watering a tree. Just keep
Yeah.
watering it. One day it's gonna have an impact. I was watching the one of the episode you had with the Benoit was something really great.
Yeah.
It was really good. So and just shout out to Benoit as well. So it's
Definitely
really
a great
good.
episode
definitely.
as
Yeah,
well.
Great.
it was a good
Great.
episode. I would say everybody who's out there who haven't watched that, go and watch that.
Yeah.
It's very important. So
And this one's been a very interesting talk as
Yeah.
well.
so, and I always help. And anytime you want to be here, when I have me here, give me a call if I'm able to be here. Always be glad to be here.
Sure,
And,
sure.
I'll just always be open to support you in any way possible.
Yeah,
You're
that's
doing a great thing.
Well,
man.
thank you very
Yeah,
much for
man,
joining
I appreciate
us. It's
appreciate.
really been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
no
a
problem.
pleasure.
Thank you.
So, guys, we really thank you for being with us from the beginning until right now. So, if this is your first time to listen to us, to watch us, it's in Apple Podcast, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify. So, hit the subscribe, join the community so that we can learn together, sit and talk about the challenge that we have. Here, we talk, we learn, and we grow, and then we get 1% better every single day. So, see you to the next episode,
All right.
Taylor. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a great.
Nunes, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very
so
much,
see you
guys.
next time.
All right.